A Kaprun back is riding again.
Hello everybody out there. Welcome back.
Off to new horizons.
Come with me to Austria this time, along a section of the Tauern Cycle Route, basically from Krimml to Salzburg. In the previous episode, we focused on the area between Krimml and Mittersill. We got to see some truly stunning landscapes. Mountains, roaring rivers, and the highest waterfall of Europe. In this episode, I will take you from Mittersill to Kaprun. We will explore the area a bit and also surround Lake Zell. That's where I stayed the night, in Mittersill. Very nice place, I enjoyed it. Good food. And today I'm cycling over to Kaprun, which is not very far, so I take my time and maybe can show you something on the way. Remember, due to works along the train line, I had to cycle up the valley from Mittersill before. So the first bit of the journey is kind of known territory, and I don't want to bore you with what we've already seen. My morning ride is stunningly beautiful though. This is a lovely morning. The landscape is beautiful. The sun is shining. It's actually getting quite hot at the moment. I think there is supposed to be some rain later, but we'll see when it comes. Look at the little horse, how it stands there. It's still totally elastic. Yesterday we have seen this powerful waterfall, and there are many other contributor streams coming down from the glaciers, so it's not surprising that for a long time here in this valley they have used water power to produce electricity. Of course, the electricity needs to be transported from the hydroelectric power stations to where it actually will be used, so that's why you also see all these ugly power lines running through the valley from time to time. Unfortunately, these power lines don't just look ugly, but they also make a humming sound, which disturbs the silence, otherwise just broken by birdsong or the sound of wind and water. And I do find that noise more disturbing than the visuals. In the previous episode I told you about my first cycle trip along here years ago, when I encountered all that snow and it was arse cold, and I bought myself some useless rubber gloves. Well, when I entered the next village, I instantly recognized that shop where I bought those useless gloves. And here, look, the old barn has been removed. Oh my God, it had been raining so hard then. Better now riding in the splendid sunshine. In Schwarzenbach I come across this tiny little chapel. I love to discover those little roadside treasures. Apart from the sheep, it's completely quiet here. So let's look if the lovely little church is open. Oh, it is. This is the shadow of the onion-shaped bell tower. This bit is quite steep. Yes, this is a hefty incline, but this is also the wrong way. Anyway, I do get a lovely panorama, but I have to turn back. Ah, look, that was the problem. The sign had been slightly twisted. So I went right here, but Uttendorf I've already passed. I need to go in the direction of Mittersill, and I didn't see it. Anyway, I got a panorama. I love that sign. However, at the moment this can't happen because the trains aren't running. Okay, we are entering Mittersill again. This is how far the train took me. So far I have cycled everything twice. Up the valley and down the valley. And now I'm going to discover new territory. Wow, someone is collecting garden gnomes here, big time. The valley appears much wider now. Yep, some go slower, like the old Kaprun bike, and some go faster. Just around the corner from this weather-beaten crucifix in Hummersdorf, I come across another little treasure. And right around the corner from that Jesus on the cross is this little chapel. Tiny but beautiful. Yeah, I'm here at this place between Mittersill and, I would say, Piesendorf, but on the train the other day they called it Pissendorf. I thought that didn't sound very nice, but I keep calling it Piesendorf. So anyway, this is a lovely spot. It's a beautiful view on the mountains, and there's a little story about some Celtic settlements 2,000 years ago. Yeah, 2,000 years ago, apparently a Celtic tribe named Amizonten lived here. Their settlements were a little bit higher up, as the ground in the marshy valley was too soggy and just not safe. In those days, the very wild and meandering river Salzach was called Isonta. So right here was Isonta's realm. The figure Isonta also incorporated the guardian of the mountains and their treasures. She protects nature and reminds us of the harmony and balance in the landscape and within ourselves. When you look through the ring-shaped monument, Isonta's ring, you can see the mountains where the Celts once lived. The Celts believed in the forces of nature and drew their strength from it, energy as well as inspiration. This place here is believed to be one of those energy spots. Now then, I'm not into all that New Age stuff and esoterics, but I have to admit that this place has got something extraordinary. And this place really does invite to have a little lie down. Just have a little rest here. I just hope I'll be able to get up again later. And over me is a birch tree. I would definitely call this a happy place. I guess you now understand why it takes me so long to get from one place to another. But I just love to experience all those little things along the way. Anyway, let's go, as there is more to discover. Yeah, sometimes you share the path with tractors, so I just wait until he's come past. Hey girls, how are you doing? Are you beautiful? Okay, I sat here in the shady forest for a bit having a little picnic, and I hadn't really noticed, but it got clouded over. And they promised some rain for later on, possibly thunderstorms, so I don't want to get into that. But it was nice and peaceful up here. As I said earlier on, they are producing electricity in the valley here from the water power, basically, I think. And so you have ugly places like that as well from time to time. The eyesore makes a humming sound. Can you hear it? Okay, my dears, we are now entering Kaprun, where I will be staying for 2 nights. And right here I get my first impression of the so-called Flitzer, an alpine roller coaster. More about that later. As I'm still a little bit early for my check-in, I'm cycling over to Sigmundtun, a gorge that I would like to see. This is also the cycle route towards the Kesselfall, another waterfall. The cycle route leads us through a tunnel, and it does look a bit dark in there. Spooky! Spooky! The light comes on if one speaks. Amazing! Spooky! Light on! I mean, who are you kidding? Of course there are motion detectors in the tunnel that operate the lights. Exiting the tunnel, we can see an amazing mountain wedge in the distance. Later on that day, I went up a little higher to get a better impression of the valley and the surrounding peaks, reaching a height of more than 3,000 meters. And according to this map, you can even cycle up some trails to a considerable height. I'm checking out the first section of the cycle path to that waterfall. I can see the broad walk leading into the gorge. And here the cycle route ends for me. Maybe it's okay for mountain bikes, but it's no good for me and my bike, especially when loaded up with luggage. They must be joking calling that a cycle route. So back to the gorge. There are lockers where you can keep your luggage while visiting the gorge, but unfortunately the gorge is closed for visits. The information board informs me that after each winter season the boardwalk is thoroughly checked and repaired. Also, it appears that work is going on at the info center of the hydroelectric power station. So I can only admire the rushing water coming down from up there. Anyway, it's time now to check into my hotel. In terms of cycling, it has been quite a short day on my bike, only 40 kilometers. I'm staying here and I love the place. I can take my bike straight into the lobby and take my stuff off the bike there. My 2 panniers go into a big shopping bag, which I then can carry up to the room, and the rest gets stowed away in a little backpack. The bike is stored in their bike and ski room, where the bikes can also be charged. Now, let me give you a tour of the room. Yeah, it got hot again, so I look a bit like a tomato, but never mind. I'm at the Alpenhaus. That's my hotel for the night. I give you a tour of the room. Toilet, bathroom. Around here is the shower. I can't see much. But the room is really lovely. On the pillows. And I've got a balcony. I love balconies, or where you can go outside, and the view, which is just tremendous. Look at it. The church, the mountain. I think it's the Maiskurve. They have some cabins going up there. I think that's all part of the hotel. Yeah, that's nice, isn't it? There you get some pure water of the Kaprun glacier. I'll try that later. And it's the sort of a place where you can have mud smeared into your face. But I won't do that. I get mud on my face on the trail all the time, so I don't need to do that here and pay for it. However, if you want to use this spa, they also provide extra towels. Anyway, while I have my shower, the weather forecast proves to be right. It's pouring down like you haven't seen. While it keeps raining hard outside, I go for my evening meal at the hotel restaurant. I've booked half pension again, and like at the other place, it's 4 delicious courses. Totally yummy. And although it was supposed to be raining all night until 7 in the morning, after dinner it clears up for a moment. The view is so amazing that I watch until darkness falls. There had been more rain during the night, but the new day promises to be dry. Breakfast is just as amazing as dinner, and then I'm off to take a little day trip today. I want to ride around Lake Zell. It's no longer raining, but the path is still wet from last night's rain. And hey, there's a castle which looks interesting, and I plan to check it out proper on my way back. Good morning, just leaving Kaprun today for a little day trip. I'll come back here tonight and let's see what we find on the way. What is this? I'd say it's closed. Gesperrt, fermé, finito. So I just met a bunch of cyclists and they told me where the detour goes. So through here, through the forest and then right again. Let's see. It's a bit mucky in the forest after all that rain we had last night, but it's okay to cycle. So this is the other end of the path that had been closed. I don't see anything from here, but it's definitely closed. Nearby is a swampy section and I guess it had flooded over. Hey, look at that. That must be due to the rainfalls we had last night. The river is full and it's flooding. Zell am See is quite a famous ski resort town, but entering it is everything but pretty. My route leads through business parks and along busy roads. However, soon I get surprised by this spectacular view of Lake Zell. Pretty impressive. The cycle route follows the western embankment and eventually touches upon the town centre. My feeling is that Zell pretends to be a bit posh, however, without ever quite getting there. Although Zell might not be as mundane as it tries to be, here towards the northern end of the lake, the panorama with the mountains in the background is fantastic. I've now reached the sort of the northern end of the lake and I'm going round it, I think. Frankly speaking, I don't recommend cycling on the eastern side of the lake. If you don't want to ride in the road there, you have to dodge pedestrians ever so often. Also, you don't really see the lake, as the view is blocked by the fences of all those big houses. So you had to sort of ring your bell all the time, like, excuse me, which was a bit tedious. Plus, the surface was not at its best. Here at the other end of the lake, the southern end, is an area, a nature protection area, where you can watch birds. better here on this little gravel path. Well, the lake looked very pretty, but I found the area altogether much too built up. Too many people for my taste. Of course, I'm one of them here too. But yeah, so I prefer it, I think, further up the valley, like where I've been yesterday. So I guess let's get back to the Kaprun area. Remember what the river looked like yesterday when we saw it further upstream? All crystal clear, and today it's brown with mud from all that rain. So from Kaprun, going round the Lake Zell, I've done approximately 25 kilometers. I'm sitting at the foothill of the castle, which is just back there. And I'm now gonna have a little lunchtime snack. This location goes back to Celtic times. It was named Chattaprunin or something like that, a Celtic word meaning wild water. In the 12th century then, a castle was built here. However, that one got burned down in 1526 during the Salzburg Peasants' War. Look, this is Kaprun, and my hotel is pretty much in the center. But back to the castle. The castle we can see here now was erected in 1600 and changed hands several times, until in 1984 it was acquired by the Kaprun Castle Association, a non-profit association of local businesses. They renovated the castle, which nowadays is used for cultural events. So right here I'm at the Kaprun Castle. It's a lovely spot from where you can overlook the valley. Okay, I'm leaving Kaprun Castle again. We had some nice views from up there, and let's see what else we can find. Yeah, nice views. And opposite is that hill, or mountain rather, where they have a cabin lift going up to the Maiskogel, and there is this alpine coaster, the Maisiflitzer. I think it's time to check that out. Okay, here I am at the bottom station of the cable car, but there must be another way to get up, by bike, and there is. Wow, and I thought the castle was high. Well, let's see how far I can get here. Look, here we go. They're going up in their little carts, and then we'll race down. So as you can probably see, behind there is the castle where I just had my picnic. So I cycled up here. They have this little roller coaster thing here, which people have fun on. It's fun watching those gondolas. I didn't dare going in them. I preferred to cycle up here. It was hard work, but I did it. The view from up here is totally amazing, and I wonder if I couldn't go even a bit higher up. Oh, I hear a thunderstorm in the mountains. So maybe I shouldn't go up too high. Good excuse, isn't it? I'm out of breath a bit. Still going a little bit further. The gondolas still haven't reached their peak yet. The village that we see in the distance, I think it's Pesendorf, where I was yesterday. And I do turn around here now. Alrighty, downhill now. Yeah, and as I heard the thunder somewhere in the distance, and I get some raindrops, I'm now going down again. And in no time I'm back at my hotel, where I can just roll the bike inside, past reception, and then store it in their bike room. This is a very good and practical solution, I find. Hello. The sun is shining, but it's raining. It has been a super short day on the bike, only 32 kilometers, but altogether I found it very enjoyable today. And so it is with the rest of the evening, super delicious food. That's it for today, my dears. In the next episode, I will take you along an alternative and stunningly beautiful bike route up to Maria Alm and then return to the main route at Bruck.
Thanks for watching, my dears. See you in the next episode.